This will hit every single time. Alright. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, and today I have a super fun, super cozy type of video I haven't done on my channel before, which is a book related video. So today we're going to be going over some of my 5-star reads. I have more, but I don't want the video to get too long. So without further ado, let's hop into the video. Should we start with fantasy first? If you guys were sitting in front of me, what would you want to start with first? Oh, so we do want to do fantasy. Okay, I got you. The first fantasy book should not come as a surprise. I'm sure a lot of you have already heard of this series, the ACOTAR series, but we're going to be talking about one book in particular because I feel like this specific book is not given credit where it's due. Like, a lot of people refuse to read the last one because it doesn't follow the main characters from the previous books. And I'm here to tell you that you need to read that last book, and that book is A Court of Silver Flames. I am obsessed with this book. When I read it, I did not think I could love the series any more than I already do. And I just love the character development that I saw in this book. I'm not going to tell you the whole premise of the book because you have to read the other books beforehand to really understand why this main character became the way that she is and like what led up to her personality and her just the way she acts and behaves. It's very distasteful in the previous books. You kind of grow to not like her. I know I didn't really like her at first, but in this book, the character development you see is amazing, and the love interest, the whole romance, it's just amazing. So if you haven't read the last book of the ACOTAR series because you don't like that it doesn't follow Clara, go ahead and put this on your list. It is 5 stars for a reason. I love this last book so much. And I will say the second book is a close second, but I read that like 1.5 years ago, so I can't be 100% sure if that's my 5-star, but this one right here, go ahead and read that book for me. Okay, so surprisingly, that was my only fantasy book. I am definitely a fantasy girly, so I'm surprised I don't have any other 5-star fantasy reads. But that is okay. We're gonna go ahead and move on. Let's do psychological thrillers. I have 2 psychological thrillers that I want to hop into. One you may have already heard of, which is The Silent Patient. I love this book. I read this back in 2019 when I was first starting to explore other genres other than young adult because I was 19, so. And I read Silent Patient first. I actually don't have the book with me, but I'm gonna put up a picture. Okay, this book follows Alicia, who just randomly one evening shoots her husband 5 times in the face, and just after that night she refuses to talk. And Theo Faber, a psychotherapist, makes it his mission to get Alicia to open up and figure out exactly why she shot her husband that day. Because before that, Alicia and her husband, they were the picture perfect couple. Everybody aspired to be them. They were wealthy, they were well off, they were living the life, or so everybody thought. So why did she shoot her husband? So that psychotherapist goes to explore and kind of like uncovers what happened that night and what led up to the event, and was their marriage really that perfect? And I will just say the plot twist in this book was amazing. It really shook me. And this book is the reason I love psychological thrillers. Like, when I finished this book, I was like, give me some more, I need more. So this is a book that you have to pick up. I read it 4 years ago and it's still on my mind. So this will forever be a 5-star for me. I will forever recommend this book to anybody looking to get into psychological thrillers. So let's move on to another psychological thriller that I read. I read this book actually after I read The Silent Patient because, like I said, I was like on a spree. I was like, give me more. So the next book I have is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is a psychological thriller, kind of like more of a mystery though, I will say. This book follows Quincy Carpenter, who went on a vacation with her 5 friends and was the only one to return back because all her friends were slaughtered. So let's put it that way. And so after that event, Quincy was labeled what they call a final girl, which is basically what it sounds like, a group of survivors that were the only person to survive in their slaughter group, which is crazy and it's sad. But that's what she is. She's a final girl and she does everything in her power to not be labeled that. She stays away from the media. She like keeps a low-key life because obviously that is a horrific experience that she has to relive all the time. And there are actually 2 other girls that were final girls of similar events. It says it on the back, so I'm not giving anything away. they kind of connect in an unexpected way, a way that obviously they didn't want to happen, we'll just say that. So one final girl, Lisa, actually is found dead in her bathtub. After that, everything kind of unravels. Things she thought to be true are actually not. And after that event, Quincy is approached by another final girl, Sam, and Sam makes it her mission to get Quincy to relive those past memories and kind of unfold the truth of what happened that night and what happened in the last 10 years. Quincy obviously doesn't want to do this, she just wants to stay away, but I will say that what they uncover and the plot twist in this book really got me. I was not expecting this at all. Riley Sager did a great job developing this book, giving you that mystery, giving you that thrill, and this was a 5-star read for me. I'm probably gonna reread this. I never really hear anybody talk about Riley Sager in this book in general. I personally think that this is a 5-star read, and if you haven't read it, you should read it. It's a very quick, fast-paced book. I was able to read it pretty quickly if I remember correctly. Had to have a little brief intermission because my camera was not recording when I thought it was recording. So we're back at it again. Next, we're going to be talking about a book that I didn't even expect to like when I picked it up, but I kept hearing so many amazing reviews about it. I was like, let me go ahead and pick it up and see what this is about. The book is Things We Never Got Over, which I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about. I'm typically not one to gravitate towards just simply romance books. Something about the premise of this book just really hooked me. This book follows Naomi Witt, who finds herself in Knockemout, Virginia, after her estranged sister calls her, asking her to come help her out. When Naomi arrives to the town, she finds that not only is she hated by all the townspeople for a reason she does not know, but she also finds herself caring for the 11-year-old daughter that her twin sister left there in the town, and that it goes to follow Naomi navigating this guardianship slash parental role that she was pushed into. One of the people she meets as soon as she gets in the town is Knox Morgan, who is the town's bad boy kind of type, a very much grumpy barber, and he obviously doesn't like Naomi because she's just sunny, she's bubbly, and worst of all, she looks like her twin sister, which everybody hates in the town. Over the course of the book, something kind of transpires between them. He finds himself kind of gravitating towards Naomi. She finds herself gravitating him. There's also a mystery aspect in this book that I found really intriguing and that I think you would find intriguing too. It kind of deals with some tougher issues. Like, you get to figure out, like, is Naomi this super bubbly, carefree individual, or is there something that she is hiding from? Because obviously she's a runaway bride. Why did she run away from her wedding? We also figure out why Knox Morgan is the way that he is. Why is he so grumpy? Why does he seem to hate everybody? Why does he stay alone? It just kept you intrigued, and that is why it's a 5-star read for me. Like, when I was going back to picking my 5-star reads, I was like, what was easy to read? What kept me intrigued? What kept me wanting to know what happened next? And this was that book for me. It's a little thick, but I feel like it's well worth the read. So if you haven't read this yet, I highly recommend. The next book is gonna be my last book. This next book I absolutely adore. I know this is a 5-star read book, but if I could give this book 6 stars, I would. Like, when I read this, I was entranced. Like, that's a good word for it. I could not put this book down, and the book was Before I Let Go. This book was so beautifully written. It's so just heart-wrenching and heartwarming. Very real, raw, genuine. It's about this couple, Josiah and Yasmin, that were previously married but divorced after they experienced something very traumatic in their marriage, and that was something they thought they could never come back from. You get both point of views. You realize that they both still have love for each other, and that what happened in the past they kind of regret, like divorcing. So you kind of follow what led to the divorce and how they're kind of navigating that co-parenting role while also realizing that they still do love each other. I will say this book does deal with some triggering issues, so I would look those up. It gets a little sad at sometimes, I will say, but it's so real and raw, and that's what I really appreciate about Kennedy Ryan's writing. You can find yourself within these characters more so than other books. This is the 3rd book I read from her, I believe. Yeah, and I just love all of them. This is my favorite though. I love this book so much. Something about this book I just loved. Like, when the characters cried, I wanted to cry with them. When they were happy, I wanted to rejoice with them. This is just a beautiful book. I feel like everybody should read this book, and it goes to show that love sometimes deserves a second chance. The characters in this book are beautifully written. Even the children, them navigating their parents' divorce and how that impacted them and how they're growing up in that co-parenting role, and obviously they don't understand why their parents divorced. Like, I'm a child of a divorce. It kind of highlights how children feel during that time, how they act out, but they're really not acting out. They're just trying to find a way to express themselves, because the people that they depended on just split up, and now their family's kind of divided in half. It's just it's a beautiful book. That's all I gotta say. And for that, it's a 5-star, but in reality it's more like a 6-star. I recommend anybody to read this. I just love this book. Read it if you haven't. Actually, I never had a favorite author before reading Kennedy Ryan, but I can easily say that Kennedy Ryan is my favorite author. Like, every single book I read of hers, I find myself connecting with the characters. I find that it's easy to read. They deal with some tough topics, but she does a good job of writing about it in a way that isn't offensive, but in a way that sheds light on the issue instead. And I will say that all of her stories have a happy ending, so if you're scared about it not having a happy ending, you won't get that from her. She says it herself on her TikTok page, because I do follow her on TikTok. If that is something that interests you, I recommend you to check out her books. I love them, and I plan on getting through every single one of her books. But for now, I'm gonna leave it off with those books, and I hope that you found another book that you may enjoy. All these books I obviously recommend, but like, we're gonna talk about my 6-star read. We're gonna go ahead and read that. I promise you'll love it. I hope you love it, at least. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna catch you guys next time, and I'll see you later. Bye.